Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's debate. My name is Arch Walia and I'm the chairman, and Samuel Wanakir is the timekeeper. This debate will be judged by a panel of 3 adjudicators who are Miss Chelsea Hirana, Miss Ria Shiju, and Miss Archie Aurora. The topic of the debate is that Banksy is the Da Vinci of its time. The affirmative team seated to my right is Adelaide High School Student 10. The negative team seated to my left is Cabra Dominican College Yellow 10. The speaking time for this debate is 6 minutes with a double bell at the end of speaking time. Do it twice. A warning bell will ring once at 5 minutes. A continuous bell will ring at 30 seconds after the final bell. Please switch off your mobile phones and other electronic devices. I declare this debate now open. I call upon the first affirmative speaker, Tanya Person.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that Banksy is the Da Vinci of his time. We, as the affirmative team, believe that this statement is undoubtedly true. Ladies and gentlemen, when you hear the name Leonardo da Vinci, what is the first profession that pops up into your head? An artist, of course. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, we define Da Vinci as an Italian painter, draftsman, and sculptor, remembered primarily for his art. However, while he did explore many fields, Martin Clayton of the Royal Collection Trust suggests that he was unable to get very far with most of these subjects, meaning his enduring legacy rests in artistry. Similarly, Encyclopedia Britannica defines Banksy as an anonymous British graffiti artist whose political and captivating works challenge social norms, redefine public art, and influence global conversations about parliament, consumerism, and culture. We therefore define both Leonardo da Vinci and Banksy solely as artists, not scientists, inventors, or philosophers. Furthermore, we limit our discussion to achievements made during their active creative periods, as it would be unfair to speculate on legacies beyond an artist's lifetime. It is equally unfair to compare Da Vinci's engineering sketches to Banksy's Dismaland installation, as these are different endeavors that cannot be replicated across eras. Thus, the only comparison lies in their artistic achievements during their lifetimes. Finally, we define is the Da Vinci of his time as a person who had a comparable influence of Leonardo da Vinci within his creative period. Today, I will show how Banksy is the Da Vinci of our time through 2 points. First, how he has redefined the cultural value of art by making it accessible to all, and second, how his global recognition and influence mirror Da Vinci's, while directly confronting politics, consumerism, and inequality. Our second speaker will explain how Banksy's mystery captivates audiences, and how he has redefined the role of the artist in his time. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team case. To begin with, Da Vinci's geniusness does not reside in the Mona Lisa or the Vitruvian Man, but in his works that symbolize human creativity. Banksy mirrors this impact today. His works, such as The Girl with a Balloon and The Flower Thrower, have been internationally recognized as revolutionary and thought-provoking. In a 2017 UK poll by Samsung, Girl with a Balloon was voted the nation's favorite artwork, ahead of Van Gogh's Starry Night and Constable's The Hay Wain. This is not niche popularity, it is cultural recognition. Time magazine named Banksy one of the world's 100 most influential people. His 2018 Sotheby's stunt, when Girl with a Balloon shredded itself after selling for £1.04 million, sparked worldwide debate about the value and meaning of art. 7 News reported thousands of online reactions within hours, praising it as a brilliant statement on creativity and the value of ideas over money. The BBC noted curators began rethinking traditional hierarchies, recognizing that art could be meaningful and accessible to everyone, not just the wealthy. The Guardian's Jonathan Jones wrote that Banksy turned the art market inside out, inspiring audiences to rethink what art can be and who it is for. This is cultural impact on a global scale. Just as Da Vinci's works define the Renaissance, Banksy's works define our age. My second point is how both Banksy and Leonardo da Vinci have utilized art to revolutionize and incite change. Leonardo da Vinci's art reshaped how people experienced beauty in the Renaissance. Banksy mirrors this through instant accessibility and cultural influence. His works appear on streets, subways, galleries, and online, reaching millions in real time. His 2015 Disneyland installation drew over 150,000 visitors in 5 weeks, engaging the public on consumerism and dystopia. His West Bank murals attract thousands annually, forcing reflection on political conflict. Art historian Will Ellsworth Jones, in his book, The Man Behind the Wall, argues that Banksy has brought the art world to the masses in a way no artist since Da Vinci has achieved. Banksy's Instagram account has over 12 million followers, with posts often exceeding 1 million likes. Proof his art resonates globally and immediately. Just as Da Vinci redefined artistry in the Renaissance, Banksy redefines it in the 21st century. He transforms where and how art is experienced and sparks social dialogue on a global scale. He is not simply a graffiti artist. He is a cultural leader whose influence mirrors Da Vinci. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, what we witness in Banksy is more than graffiti. It is a force that shapes culture and ignites discussion. Just as Leonardo da Vinci changed how the world saw art in his time, Banksy is changing how we see art today. Public, insightful, and powerful. Banksy is, without question, the Da Vinci of our time. Thank you.
I call upon the first negative speaker, Sanjoka Mahindra.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that Banksy is the Da Vinci of our time. We disagree with the definition given by the Affirmative team. We believe that the phrase is of our time likens Da Vinci to Banksy. In other words, we believe that it means that while the two are different people, Banksy and Da Vinci share the same interests, have a similar message behind their artwork, are equally famous, and have an equal amount of influence. We as the negative team believe that this statement is false. The first affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that Banksy, like Da Vinci, has a considerable influence on their society, that Banksy is a Da Vinci of their time. While you can argue that they both have equal influence, the nature and breadth of their influence is different. Da Vinci is not only influenced by the art industry, but science and mathematics, with his ideas of direct observations. This is nothing close to what Banksy does in his own field. Today, as the first speaker, I'll be speaking to you about how Da Vinci was and still is far more famous and well-known than Banksy. I'll also be talking to you about how he was more than an artist, but also an inventor. Our second speaker will be talking to you about the ideas and motivations behind Da Vinci and Banksy's artworks are completely different. Our third speaker will rebut and sum up our team case. I'll be discussing 2 points tonight. My beginning of which is that how can Banksy be the so-called Da Vinci of our time when they are not as close as to near how popular Da Vinci is? In complete honesty, Before this debate, my team and I had very minimal clue on who Banksy was until we did further research. Da Vinci was well known during and even after his time, due to him not only being a famous artist, while also an inventor, scientist and mathematician. One of Da Vinci's most famous works, the Mona Lisa, which is famous because of the artistic innovation that makes it seem as though her eyes follow you, is known to by almost every person on Earth. Banksy, on the other hand, their most well-known art is The Girl with the Balloon, which is known for its symbolism of love and innocence. Don't get me wrong, Banksy's creations are still popular. However, they will never come near as close to how popular Da Vinci's art is by a mile. After all, did any of you know about the original creator of The Girl with the Balloon painting before this debate? More evidence of Da Vinci being far more well-known is how he is very well embedded into school curriculums, in subjects ranging from art, history, science, to even literature. We study figures both historical and contemporary. Of course, we study Da Vinci and his brilliant artworks and discoveries, but we don't study Banksy. If he were the Da Vinci of his time, would we not study him as well? Moreover, Banksy's fame probably comes just as much from his artwork as his anonymity. People like the mystery of not knowing who Banksy is, and so, when another one of his artworks pops up, it generates buzz as people speculate and try and find out who he is. In other words, the difference between both Da Vinci and Banksy is that Da Vinci is a well-known historical figure, known by many generations, whereas Banksy is known more of as a modern cultural phenomenon. And we don't know whether yet if he will be remembered like how we remember Da Vinci. My next point is that, as mentioned before, Da Vinci was far more than just a great artist. He was an inventor known for being ahead of his time. And according to historyhit.com, Da Vinci ended up designing various unique things far beyond his time, from simple tension machines to concepts for helicopters, tanks, and even guns. According to Mathnasium, he also applied various mathematical principles, most notably the golden ratio, into his art. Da Vinci, using his creative and innovative mind, managed to create more than just art by being an artist, which in complete respect towards Banksy is not something that a mere street artist can live up to. Da Vinci, in fact, is known to have students, the most prominent of which being Francesco Melzi, who would go on to become a well-known artist himself. Da Vinci was far more than an artist. He was also a teacher. He was able to teach and expand the minds and knowledge of other people. Banksy can simply not compare. He is a street artist who is completely anonymous to the public, who, as far as we know, has no scientific or mathematical interests. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, how can we declare Banksy as the so-called Da Vinci of our time, if they don't fit any of the key attributes that made Da Vinci stand out? As mentioned, Da Vinci was and still is far more famous than Banksy. Da Vinci isn't just someone in which you've just heard of, but likely someone that you have been forced to learn about in school, as Da Vinci's works come across in various school subjects. Da Vinci was not just an artist but an inventor who was ahead of his time, while Banksy is just a street artist. As such, Banksy does not fit most of the key attributes which made Da Vinci special and memorable for future generations. As such, we, the negative team, believe that Banksy is not the Da Vinci of our time. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Deep Shah.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that Banksy is the Da Vinci of his time. We, as the affirmative team, believe that this statement is undeniably true. We, again, disagree with the definition given by the negative team, as they defined it of having the same qualities and it is impossible to replicate no matter the individual. Hence, the only comparison lies in their artistic achievements during their lifetimes. And finally, we define is the Da Vinci of his time as a person who had an influence of Leonardo da Vinci within his creative period. The first speaker on the negative team has argued that Leonardo da Vinci was influential in anatomy and engineering, but that misses the premise. The common ground here is that we are judging them as artists. To be the Da Vinci of his time isn't about replicating every field he touched, it's about embodying his revolutionary spirit. Banksy does exactly that, reshaping art the way Da Vinci reshaped the Renaissance. He fuses visual creativity with politics, technology, and society, and even Leonardo's biographers admit his scientific and engineering studies were extraordinary in scope and vision, but it is his art that far surpasses them in achievement and enduring significance. That's why we compare Banksy's art, not science. The first speaker on the negative team also argues that Banksy's fame may fade over time, unlike Da Vinci, who has remained iconic for over 500 years. However, this misunderstands the motion itself. This debate is not about which artist will be remembered centuries from now, but it is about who dominates and influences their time. By that definition, Banksy is operating at a height of new influence today, reshaping how society engages with public art and consumerism and politics. Our first affirmative speaker has already explained that Banksy is a Da Vinci of his time and explained how he has redefined art's cultural value, turning city walls into galleries, accessible to everyone and challenging traditional norms, just as Da Vinci expanded what art could be in the Renaissance. Today, I'll be discussing two compelling aspects of Banksy's artistry that firmly cement him as the Da Vinci of our time. Firstly, the captivating power of mystery embedded within his work, and secondly, how he has transformed the role of artist in modern era. First and foremost, Banksy is the Da Vinci of our time because of the captivating mystery that defines his art. Leonardo da Vinci's works were famous not only for their technical mastery, but for their intrigue. Their meanings were often unclear, shaping how people experienced his art during his lifetime. Take The Last Supper, for example. During his lifetime, his audience debated about its symbolism and hidden meanings, with countless theories about what the message truly conveys. This mystery was central to Da Vinci's impact, as people weren't just looking at his art, they were questioning and interpreting it. Banksy mirrors the same intrigue through his complete anonymity. Just as people speculated endlessly about the meaning behind Da Vinci's works, people today speculate about Banksy's identity and the messages hidden in his pieces. His murals appear suddenly on city walls or galleries, instantly sparking global debate about politics, inequality, and culture. This secrecy transforms each new piece into a cultural event, and in his 12 million Instagram followers proved that audiences are not only seeing his work, but are also actively engaging with it. In 2005, the book War and Peace, Banksy writes, "Art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the uncomfortable," emphasizing that his creations provoke thought and conversation rather than relying on his personal identity. In both cases of Leonardo da Vinci and Banksy, mystery amplifies their influence. Da Vinci's art drew people into speculation, while Banksy's anonymity ensures his art, not his persona, remains the focus. This combination of mystery, accessibility, and engagement elevates him beyond being just an artist. He becomes a cultural phenomenon during his active creative period. This shared power of intrigue is what makes Banksy the Da Vinci of our time. My second point highlights how both Da Vinci and Banksy transformed the very role of an artist in their respective times. During the Renaissance, painters were often seen as little more than craftsmen, their work commissioned as decoration rather than valued for intelligence and cultural insights. Leonardo da Vinci disrupted this perception. He elevated the artist to a position of visionary, thinker, and cultural leader, fundamentally challenging society. Understanding what it means to be an artist, Banksy achieves a parallel legacy in the modern era by redefining how society views graffiti and street artists. Before Banksy, a UK government survey found that 74% of the public considered graffiti a problem, highlighting its widespread rejection. Banksy challenged this perception, showing that street art could provoke discussion, shape public spaces, and influence cultural conversations worldwide. His works appear at key moments, often engaging millions on social media within hours, sparking debate about the role of art, society, and public space. A 2022 survey by Art Market Monitor found that 62% of contemporary art buyers now consider street art a serious investment, demonstrating that Banksy has shifted public perception into an established street artist as central figures in modern culture than outsiders. As art critic Jonathan Jones of The Guardian writes, Banksy has done more to change the status of street art than any other figure in history. His influence extends beyond his creation to the perception of artists in society. Just as Da Vinci elevated the Renaissance from a painter to a craftsman and visionary, Banksy has elevated the graffiti artist from marginalized outsider to cultural leader, all within his active period. In short, Banksy simply hasn't produced art, he has redefined the role and status of the artist in his time, proving that he is the Da Vinci of our modern era. In summary, Banksy has global recognition and influence, shows how his work spread instantly across social media, auction houses, and news outlets, while sparking discussion on societal issues like inequality and power. In doing so, he has established that Banksy is not a graffiti artist, but a visionary shaping culture. Hence, this is why Banksy is standing shoulder to shoulder with Leonardo da Vinci. Thank you very much.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Gavin.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate tonight is that Banksy is the Da Vinci of his time. We, the negative team, believe that this statement to be completely false. To begin, I would like to rebut some of the affirmative team's points. The second affirmative speaker has said that it's impossible to mirror all the attributes that Da Vinci had. Well, yes, you cannot replicate all the attributes that Da Vinci had. When you say that someone is the something of his time, you are likening them to that person. So to say that Banksy is the Da Vinci of his time means we are likening him to Da Vinci. So at the very least, we must embody, the person we are likening to him must embody his spirit towards maths, science, and engineering. The first affirmative speaker has also stated that because Da Vinci's achievements are mirrored by Banksy, Banksy is the Da Vinci of his time. Well, yes, Banksy mirrors Da Vinci's art achievements. He does not mirror all of Da Vinci's achievements. Leonardo da Vinci had many achievements in inventing science and math. Many of these that still form the cornerstones of our modern understandings. And since, again, to say someone is a something of his time, is likening Banksy to Da Vinci, he must at least mirror some of these attributes. But since he doesn't, Banksy is not the Da Vinci of his time. Our first speaker has already spoke to you about how Banksy does not fit the key attributes which makes Da Vinci special and memorable. He also spoke to you about how Da Vinci was more famous than Banksy. In addition, he also spoke to you about how Da Vinci was more than an artist, and that he was also an inventor. Today, as second speaker, I will be discussing a point with many facets to it. And that point is that while both men can produce incredibly good pieces of art, the art of Da Vinci and Banksy, and the ideas behind them, is completely different. Da Vinci was a Renaissance artisan and perfectionist. He would spend years at a time working on just a single piece of art. According to walksofitaly.org, The Last Supper took 3 years to finish painting, while the Mona Lisa herself took more than 5 years. He did this, yes, because he was often distracted, but also because he was unwilling to ever declare a painting finished. In fact, he technically has more unfinished than finished works. In contrast, Banksy has very limited time to complete his work. In some cases, particularly in the case of street art, he has just one night to finish the artwork before it gets discovered by the public come the next day. He has no time to be a perfectionist. He just has to run with the ball. In addition, Leonardo da Vinci, as our first speaker has already covered, was more than just an artist. He was also a master craftsman, inventor, and scientist. His artworks were fundamentally influenced by his interests in maths and science. For instance, the Vitruvian Man, one of his most well-known works, was created in direct response to the Roman architect Vitruvius' treatise, De Architectura, which speculated that you could fit a human figure inside a circle and square. While fitting the human figure in a circle proved easy enough, fitting a human body in a square proved challenging, even since the time of Pythagoras. Vitruvius speculated that the navel of the human body should be the center of the square. However, Da Vinci, after conducting his own studies, concluded that the center of the square would in fact not be the navel, but the area slightly below it. This is just one example of where Da Vinci's interests in math and science influenced what he made as an artist. And Banksy, on the other hand, he is neither a scientist nor an inventor. He is instead a political and social activist. His artworks often critique the status quo and reflect pressing societal and political issues. For instance, his artwork in the Drury Quarter of Birmingham, one of the more well-to-do areas in Birmingham, which depicts reindeer pulling a bench that's often used by the homeless as a makeshift bed, is intended to draw attention to them and to highlight the increasingly dire homelessness issue in Britain at the time. Leonardo was also, unlike Banksy, often paid to make art by wealthy patrons. In fact, this was his main livelihood. According to the World History Encyclopedia, it was common practice for artisans at the time, artists during the Renaissance, to only produce artworks when they were asked to do so by a patron. Art materials were, after all, expensive during the time. Leonardo, though he did not like these rules, was not exempt from them. Many of his artworks were created under contract and paid from wealthy patrons. Some examples include the Last Supper mural at Santa Maria delle Grazie, which was commissioned by the then Duke of Milan, and an altarpiece in the Church of San Francesco Grande, which was commissioned by the church. And while Banksy does earn money through the operation of his art exhibit, the Waldorf Hotel, which opened in 2017, and through the auctioning off of his various authenticated pieces of work, his intent is not entirely to earn money. He makes his art, as I have stated before, to comment on the state of society and critique the status quo. In fact, most of his art, which comes in the form of street art and murals, does not earn him any cash whatsoever. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, how can we say that Banksy is a Da Vinci of his time? To do so would be to say that both artists had similar motivations and ideas behind their artwork. And, as we have just discussed, the ideas and motivations behind their artworks are completely different. Leonardo was a perfectionist, while Banksy only has, at sometimes, a few hours to complete his art. Leonardo is inspired by maths and science, while Banksy is inspired by societal issues. Leonardo did a lot of his art for income, while Banksy does it out of desire to critique the status quo. They are both completely different people. Banksy is not the Da Vinci of his time. Thank you.
I don't mind. Yeah, we'll just leave the door closed, actually. Yeah, we better shut the door. Yeah. To be too noisy. And you can close the door. Okay, thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Tina Pangos.
evening, Mr. Chairman, fellow adjudicators, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that Banksy is the Da Vinci of his time. We, the affirmative team, have stood in strong favour, not with blind idealism, but with grounded reasoning, robust evidence and principled conviction. The negative speaker claims Da Vinci was a multidisciplinary genius. However, that misses the premise. Just like Da Vinci blended science and art, Banksy blends satire, activism and digital influence. Both stretch art across domains, proving that revolutionary impact does not require every discipline, it requires vision. Thus, the only just comparison lies in their artistic achievements during their lifetimes. We also define is the Da Vinci of his time as a person who had a comparable influence of Leonardo da Vinci within his creative period. The first speaker on the negative team claims Banksy's fame may fade as street art evolves, whereas Da Vinci's has remained iconic for over 500 years. However, this argument ignores the definitions we have set for this debate. The motion about being the Da Vinci of his time, which means having a transformative influence within one's active creative period, not measuring fame centuries later. No living artist could ever qualify if afterlife recognition were the standard, rendering this argument meaningless. Banksy, as an anonymous contemporary street artist, is political, satirical and captivating, reshaping public art and igniting global conversations about culture, power and society. As Banksy himself remarked, art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. This quote underscores his intent to provoke thought and challenge societal norms through his art. His works challenge norms in the moment they appear, influencing how people think and act today. Isn't the measure of genius in the immediate reshaping of society, rather than in posthumous reputation? Just as Da Vinci redefined perception in his era, Banksy is redefining ours, actively, boldly, and unmistakably. History may judge him later, but his time is now, and in that time, his influence is undeniable. The first speaker on the negative team has also pointed out that Leonardo da Vinci influenced fields like anatomy and engineering. That is true, but it ignores the actual grounds of this debate. We are not comparing Banksy to Leonardo the scientist or inventor. The common ground here is to compare them as artists. What makes someone the Da Vinci of their time isn't a checklist of disciplines. It's the ability to redefine culture through art. Banksy embodies that revolutionary spirit. He reshaped art in ways that parallel Da Vinci's impact on the Renaissance, merging creativity with politics, anatomy, viral media, and guerrilla methods. His work transforms how art interacts with society, challenging authority, rethinking public space, and redefining how culture is consumed. Even Leonardo's leading scholars concede this point. Martin Kemp, an Oxford University professor and expert on Leonardo da Vinci, writes, "His scientific and engineering studies were extraordinary in scope and vision, but it is his art that far surpasses them in achievement and in enduring significance. If art is the highest measure, then Banksy earns this title." The second speaker on the negative team argued that Da Vinci collaborated with governments, religious leaders, and intellectuals, while Banksy resists institutions, supposedly limiting his historical impact. However, this misunderstands the nature of influence in different eras. Da Vinci operated within Renaissance structures. Banksy operates in a modern world where disruption, critique, and anonymity are powerful tools. Isn't the ability to challenge authority, spark public debate, and reshape cultural conversation outside traditional institutions a form of influence in its own right? By resisting institutional control, Banksy amplifies the reach and urgency of this message, proving that impact does not require official endorsement. The second negative speaker has also claimed that Banksy rushes his artwork. However, Banksy actually takes a hefty amount of time to create, where more than just a few of his works are done over a period of weeks, where walls, once often empty, are left unfinished. Our first speaker showed you how Banksy, like Da Vinci, redefined art's cultural value. Da Vinci pioneered perspective and anatomy in the Renaissance. Banksy pioneered street art as a legitimate cultural force, transforming walls into galleries for everyone, not just elites. Our first speaker also explained Banksy's global recognition and influence. Just as Da Vinci's works travelled across Europe, Banksy's works go viral across the globe, appearing in auction houses, media headlines and political conversations. His influence today mirrors Da Vinci's reach in his own time. Our second speaker then demonstrated Banksy's mastery of mystery. Da Vinci's paintings carried riddles that fascinated generations, while Banksy's anonymity sparks that same endless speculation. This blend of mystery and accessibility ensures his cultural relevance. Finally, our second speaker also showed how Banksy has revolutionized the role of an artist. Da Vinci transformed the artist from a craftsman into a visionary. Banksy has transformed the street artist from a vandal into a globally recognized cultural icon, whose works are both accessible to the public and valued at tens of millions in galleries. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we are not here debating whether Banksy copies Da Vinci. We are debating whether he fulfills the same role in his time. And he does. Like Da Vinci, he redefined art, gained global recognition, inspired mystery, and transformed the very role of an artist. Da Vinci painted for patrons and institutions. Banksy paints for the people. Da Vinci painted for galleries. Banksy.
I call upon the third mega speaker, Francis Hicks.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate tonight is that Banksy is the Da Vinci of his time. We, the negative team, believe this statement to be utterly false. Tonight, as the third speaker, I'll rebut the affirmative team's points and some of our team's case. First of all, the second affirmative team said that street art is no longer condemned as a nuisance because of Banksy. However, they jumped to conclusions here. How can we prove that this is solely because of Banksy? It could just be a general trend with social media empowering interesting things in the street that you see. Their point does not in any way prove that Banksy is a Da Vinci of his time because of his influence. The second negative speaker also claimed that both stretch across multiple domains, but, however, we can only compare them in their influence. However, they also referenced that Banksy has had a lot of political and societal influence in these domains, whereas they denied Da Vinci's engineering and science influence. Why use domains that Da Vinci was not in if you condemned our use of influence in domains that Banksy wasn't in? According to the affirmative team, what we care about is the influence that they created, but and that remembrance of the artist does not matter. But isn't some aspect of the influence about who is remembered? Da Vinci was also incredibly famous at the time, acting as an inventor, like what Elon Musk is now, clearly different to Banksy. While both have had severe influence, it is a clearly different type of influence. We also never actually said that Da Vinci collaborates with governments, and he was not endorsed. He actually genuinely resisted the patronage system that was around in the Renaissance art scene when he was making paintings and inventions, and clearly this is different to Banksy. The second affirmative speaker has said that Banksy has intrigue and mystique similar to Da Vinci. While they both do have mystique, there is a clear difference in how they went about it. Da Vinci earned his, whereas Banksy just adopted it. Many famous graffiti artists, like Banksy, Jerkface and Stick, are unknown, which is a technique used to build intrigue and popularity, whereas Da Vinci, he had to paint many paintings and make many inventions just to create this level of mystique, and he had to do them with quality, rather than just hiding behind a hoodie. Banksy is not a Da Vinci of his time just because he is mysterious. In summary, our first speaker spoke to you about how Da Vinci was far more famous than Banksy during and even after his time. He also spoke to you about how Da Vinci was also an inventor and a scientist. Our second speaker spoke to you about how the ideas behind Banksy and Da Vinci's artworks are completely different. Da Vinci was a perfectionist and was motivated by the need to earn a living and was inspired by his love of science and maths, while Banksy has no time to be a perfectionist and is motivated by the opportunity to critique the current status quo, shown throughout his artworks such as Dismaland. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, there is no way that Banksy could be a Da Vinci of his time. They are completely different people. One loves maths, science and perfection, while the other loves to critique the status quo using new forms of art. To say that Banksy is the Da Vinci of our time is to say that he has the same attributes and the same type of influence that made Da Vinci the man we remember him as today. But, as our speakers have covered today, he does not have the same type of influence. While they're still both amazing figures, great artists, they do not hold the same sway or the same type of sway. Da Vinci was an inventor, Banksy is a rebel. It is because of this that we believe Banksy is not the Da Vinci of his time. Thank you.